There appears to be a lot of hope in the horizon for oil marketers and motorists alike, following President Bola Tinubu's order to the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to sell crude oil to Dangote Refinery and other domestic refineries in Naira, the national currency, instead of the dollar. Marketers have become naturally upbeat. They're happy about this development. According to the marketers, the decision is a big win for the country, and it has the great potential of crashing the pump price of the premium motor spirit, PMS, otherwise known as petrol. We cannot wait for better days, or could we, MJ?
Well, as I was coming in, I read a report. I got a report. The NNPC had a press briefing today where they claimed to have declared 3.3 trillion profits for 2023. Well, in the same vein, I mean, since yesterday we've been seeing reports of the subsidies they have been paying since August last year, using the dividends that is supposed to accrue to the federal government, to the federation account, to manage a subsidy. See, the Naira for crude, I also got information that the start date now will be 1st of October.
Yeah. 2024.
Yeah, 1st of October 2024. That's just in a few days' time to October. All these are signals to the fact that we might be coming to an end of this embarrassing situation which we discussed earlier. And I also want to implore the president to make sure that he puts a standing committee to monitor this process, because we can't say the president should monitor the process, but he should get competent hands. Well, there's a committee headed by the coordinating minister of the economy, Wale Edun, the executive chairman of FRS, Dr. Zach Adedeji, and also the PS, Ministry of Finance, and also the MD of NNPC to pretend over this Naira for crude, which is a turning point that will allow us to save about $600 million every month. Because for now, I think we are doing $660 million. But they said, well, by the time we start that, this can come down to as little as $50 million per month. So it is huge. We are talking in the tune of about 7-point-something billion, 7-point-something trillion dollars at the end of, $1 billion at the end of the year. Yeah. So it's something that will give us a relief on Naira-dollar exchange rate, because apart from Afrexim Bank, the other banks that will be involved are Nigerian banks. So you won't have to, for a transaction between NNPC and refineries in Nigeria, you won't have to go to JP Morgan or Bank of America as the intermediary bank. That's simply what it means. So the local refineries, the likes of Dangote, even NNPC, and the Bua and other small blending plants that we have in Edo and Co, will now go through Afrexim and Nigerian banks to open lines of credit and buy the crude oil, while NNPC2 will in turn buy refined petroleum products from majorly Dangote, its own refineries, the NNPC refineries, anytime, quote unquote, they decide to come up, and also the other small
I cannot wait for when we are meeting local demands and exporting.
No, definitely it will happen.
Oh, yeah.
Because the Dangote alone, the combined capacity is more than the 4 refineries put together.
That's it.
And we have about 5 refineries that are operating locally now. Dangote alone is standing at about 650, while the combined capacity of the others...
650,000,
yeah. 650,000. The combined capacity of the others is not up to 20,000.
Yeah.
I mean, that's if you take out NNPC, because NNPC both Warri, Port Harcourt 1 and 2, Warri and Kaduna, the combined capacity is about 400,000. But then, in the last 15, 20 years, it has not produced a single drop, despite the fact that we have spent 11.5 trillion naira, 11.5 trillion in 13 years on turnaround maintenance.
Yeah. BKO, so do you share his sentiment?
No, it's not as if the refineries have not worked at all.
Okay.
Kaduna Refinery, a year produced 50 million liters a whole year. So 50 million liters.
Should have been more than that.
You know.
It's not even enough for one day.
Our consumption
for a day.
Yes, it doesn't even meet our consumption needs for a day. And that's what a whole year. I'm talking about like 3 years or 4 years ago, So some of them have also been worked in spades, just worked in spades, not consistent. Not consistent. So this is the situation that we find ourselves. You do turn around, it works a little bit, and then it packs up again. That is what we've been grappling with for years. So now, selling crude oil to refineries in Nigeria in Naira, of course, will help us take away the forex-induced pressure, because between 30 to 40% of our forex needs go to importation of PMS.
Yeah.
So if the refineries here are producing, although at this time there's no Nigerian refinery that is capable of producing PMS.
As we speak.
As we speak, for now. The modular refineries, none of them can do PMS now.
Yeah, they can't crack it.
They can do, just like Dangote is doing aviation kero at this time, and diesel. PMS is of a different grade.
Yeah.
They have not reached that level. But Dangote is moving towards it.
Okay.
They are moving towards it, but they are not there yet. You can see that they too have said, okay, we are postponing the time when marketers can come and buy PMS from us. If we are able to save $7.3 billion a year, no sensible person will say that it is not good for us as a people. Because if you can save $7.3 billion, that naturally you could have used. Then that money, you can push it into the forest market and then improve liquidity. It will improve, and once we improve liquidity,
it will stabilize the Naira.
Our currency will even get stronger. Because a lot of this volatility that we face are the result of illiquidity. There's not enough supply. People want to go to school abroad, they need to pay in dollars, but we do not have enough, we do not earn enough. So we need to encourage the refineries. For somebody who has built a 650,000 barrels a day capacity, no matter what you think of him, you may not like his business practices. You must say that to you, Dangote may be a devil. But we must look at what Nigeria can gain from having from domestic refining. From domestic refining, rather than spending money to improve the economies of other lands. Some countries that do not even have crude oil. Nigeria is going to buy refined are going to buy PMS from them. We are helping to boost the economy. Whereas we can boost our own economy by encouraging domestic refining and even exportation of refine the crude oil.
The West African
there are so many.
Put simply, by doing things right.
There are so many products that can come out of crude oil.
Yeah.
Crude oil is just similar to palm fruit.
Yeah. Okay. The
Palm fruit.
The byproducts are many.
There are so many byproducts.
Nothing
Even in the olden days, they were using palm tree. They were using the trunk to do bridges.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, because it's extremely hard.
Yeah.
They were using to build bridges. Yeah. So there is no part of the palm tree that is a waste.
To think that the soap you and I use in having a bath, washing our dishes,
so many lube oil. How can we have a country? Look at lube oil. We buy lube oil, imported lube oil. We use imported lube oil for our cars. Yet we are a country that is rich in deposit of lube oil. So I'm happy that the government, that the president took this decision, and already the chairman of Refineries has broken it down for us in terms of the advantages that we stand to derive.
That's it.
Some of the marketers are even saying that this will ultimately lead to a decline in the price of
the pump price.
The pump price of petrol. That's what we want to see.
Yeah.
If this will lead to a decline, it's something that will make us happy as a people, because people are paying too much already for PMS. So Dangote, NNPCL, and other stakeholders must bear Nigerians, the suffering Nigerians in mind, and tell themselves that we have to do our best to bring down prices.
Yeah.
This is not a time to be overly interested in making profit by causing Nigerians to pay too much for a product that it pleased God to give them. If we continue to do that, we will turn the people against the government. The people will now see government as not being interested in making their lives better.
Yeah.
This decision of the president, if it will strengthen our currency, then it's a good one. If this decision will lead to stability in the pump price of petrol, then it is a good one. Yeah. If this will help us achieve product availability, because they will refine at home and all that, then it is a good one. There are many things that I see about this decision of the president that makes me happy. People have said NNPC will lose money as a result of this, because everything they do in the oil sector is dollar denominated. Everything is dollar, the rent, everything is dollar denominated. But if it will strengthen our currency to do things this way, then we have to support it. And the president must also make sure that the decision that he has taken is followed through. He has the tools to ensure implementation of his decision. And he has to take steps to make sure that his decision is implemented. And then,
as we say in soccer, you kick and follow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, then. All right, folks, welcome back. We are not alone. A gentleman is waiting patiently in Abuja. He sheds more light on the subject matter. He is Dan Kunle. And Dan, if I must tell you, is a former special advisor to the Petroleum Minister under former President Obasanjo. But you could say he was special advisor to Mr. President at the time. So let's turn things over to him now. But he's also a director at the former director at the Bureau of Public Enterprises, and so he knows what we are talking about. Welcome, Brother Dan Kunle. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much. Good afternoon. It's a good opportunity, or good evening at this hour. It should be good evening. Thank you very much for introducing me. I need to correct the impression. During President Obasanjo, I was a privatization advisor at BP, at the Bureau of Public Enterprises. And during President Yaradua, I was the senior technical advisor to the Minister of Energy Gas during President Yaradua. So, and since 2009 to date, I've been in business consultancy services. So Thank you very much.
All right, Brother Dan, let's start from the top. Now, this order by Mr. President, how do you weigh in on it? That's the order to sell crude in Naira and not in dollar.
Yes, thank you very much. Some of these narratives will have just been normal commercial narratives that's supposed not to gain too much national attention. So the emphasis on issues of dollar or Naira still shows that our activities and our national focus has been so much tied to dollar because of the nature of the oil and gas industry. It dollarized all over the world. So if you produce locally, anything you produce locally, and you sell locally in your currency, that's to prove your sovereignty. That's all. You have a political sovereignty, so also you have economic sovereignty. So if you relate in commercial terms with what you produce locally, you also sell it in Naira locally. That is just to say that's your sovereignty. That's all. That's economic, political sovereignty. So there is nothing so extraordinary about that. It's a commercial issue, which when you go to the issue of econometry to break it down to cost and the reflective issues about whether it's dollar or Naira, that is when you can start to break down all the quantities. But as a national decision, pronouncement by the president and the federal inland revenue chairman, okay, it's good enough for our sovereignty. That's just all. It's not a very serious issue. It's serious, but not too serious. It shouldn't gain too much national attention and conversation the way it is being focused on. These are not the issues. It's not the real issue. The real issue is productivity. How productive are you as a nation? That is the real issue. How much barrel of crude oil can you bring out from under the ground? How much gas can you pump out from under the ground? How much investment can you mobilize into the hydrocarbon exploration and exploitation? These are the issues, not whether they sell crude in Naira or dollar. You can decide to do anything if you are really producing. If you are producing 2.5 million barrels today, you can take 1 million barrels of it and sell at any currency you like. You can even do G to G. You can give 100,000 to a small country, 100,000 barrels, and say, I give you, pay me in whatever currency you like. So don't let us miss the issue, gentlemen, and the press must help. Let us help the country. Some issues we are hammering too much on. They are not too important. In this case,
thank you, Brother Dan.
Fairly yeah, thank you.
No, but marketers have also weighed in on this matter, and given the dollar illiquidity in our country, some people believe that this decision will make life less unbearable for the owners of the refineries. They are saying that is what they think. What are some of the advantages that you see that you can talk about in terms of the decision that the president has taken?
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of the documentation of dollar, Naira, dollar, in terms of the transactional documentation, dollar sales of crude to Dangote or to local refinery will involve letter of credit. So because central bank sell dollar from their dollar receipts, dollar income. So, and to do that means you must do documentation. You must fill Form M or Form A, whichever type of nomenclature of transaction you are doing. So, but in this case, if you sell to a local refinery in Naira, it makes transaction very easy. And if it is efficiently handled, there's no bottlenecks. I give you quantity, I give you in Naira. as agreed. So that's how simple it is. I'm not saying there are still no issues of maybe delay payment or this or bank transfer, but it will not be as difficult as dollar, because dollar means, again, you have to do letter of credit within the same country. And it means, again, every dollar has to still pass through New York, the Federal Reserve of America, because they have global sovereign control over dollar. So that means all your letter of credit within the same country will still go to America for validation before the dollar can be crossed to. So in this case, it's okay. This is why I say it's all commercial. It's commercial issue, but it's okay. It's good. It may have some marginal advantage on the cost. So it may, at least all the administrative charges, bank charges, when you take all those ones away, it may reflect in a fairly good price of the crude that you are feeding into the local refineries. It's convenient, it's pragmatic. Yeah.
So you envisage that this will eventually lead to lowering of fuel prices, pump price?
No, because in Nigeria, the narrative outside there is just about lower cost, lower cost. No, it may just have a marginal positive effect on the marginal cost of a liter of petrol. But what we should be talking about is what is the quantity available. You see, this business is about volume. It's supply capacity of crude. Do you have capacity to supply crude? Do I have capacity to refine the crude and give it to the marketplace? This is the issue. The fundamental issue is what we are running away from and just dancing around price decrease. Look, price can be even 2,000 naira. If you and me are productive and we earn our money, we can pay 2,000 naira for a liter. If you are productive and the economic equilibrium of Nigeria if we work towards near equilibrium of the economy of Nigeria, the price will no longer matter. It will be about efficient management of production and supply. So the price can be relatively stabilized. You can stabilize price. But Nigerian mentality that price can come down, I'm sorry, it's a very wrong economic illusion. I don't know what we mean by that. What are you producing that your price will come down? When your demand and consumption, all of us, is about foreign goods, and and we are chasing few supply. We are chasing inadequate supply. So it's a seller's market. Okay. Nigeria is not a buyer's market.
Bringing it down home. Now, what effect will this have on a Dangote Refinery, for example? NNPC has promised to give Dangote about 15 cargoes out of the 30 cargoes it needs. Yeah. Although they said they have only received 4 cargoes. So how will this affect Dangote? Because Dangote Refinery, I mean, they have been shouting that, yes, they are not receiving enough crude. What is behind this? What I mean, we also heard that some of our crude has been pledged for some dollar transactions. So can you break this down for us? Or I just
thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. You have just now gone to the real fundamental issue. You just said something now. You said they are giving 15 cargoes out of maybe about 30 or 35 cargoes. So if you have just come to the issue. So now, if already supply of crude in itself already is uncertain to Dangote Refinery, so how do you? So what output are you expecting now from the refinery, or even from say Porako Refinery or Kaduna Refinery or Warri Refinery? If you already have uncertainty of volume supply, what are you now expecting? You are expecting failure already in the marketplace, because that means the output that will come out to the marketplace will be in short supply. So this thing, let us be pragmatic. All these wishful thinkings we have been and it is time that government must sit down and study the macroeconomic environment in which they are operating. This economy is a shortage economy. This economy is not a productive economy. So the only thing you have that you are exporting in large volume to make money is crude oil and gas. And you don't have sufficient investment to produce this in large volume. So how can you, America was taking crude oil from Nigeria before. Now America is now the largest producer of crude oil in the world, over 13 million barrels per day. You are doing 1 million, 1.3 million. So if cargo arriving at Petroleum Refinery or Dangote Refinery is already in short internally within Nigeria, so what are you expecting already? You are going to have shortage of output of refined products. So the buyers, all these sellers you see today, all the marketers, they should not be blamed. They are behaving in accordance with the supply situation of the market. So we should face reality. Why are we always pretending as people? Why are we born? Why is our DNA so wired to pretend and maneuver? Why? What are we pretending about? We are not producing enough, gentlemen. So go ahead with your question about I hope what I have said is understandable enough.
Oh, yeah.
That if there is shortage of supply to any refinery, whether Dangote or Kaduna or Port Harcourt or Warri, once there is no certainty of supply, no guaranteed supply of crude oil, what you get on the street today is still what you will continue to get. And you may still end up to import.
That means Dangote may eventually not get the right volume of crude oil supply from the NNPCL. Apart from oil theft, what are apart from oil theft and poor investment in the sector in the last few years, what are some of the problems militating against sufficient crude oil supply?
When you use the word product supply, you mean crude supply or refined product supply? That is white product supply or crude production and supply.
Crude oil.
Look,
crude oil.
Crude oil.
Start from crude oil.
You mentioned about, crude oil. You mentioned about theft, crude oil theft. You mentioned about investment. Yes. Crude oil theft is just one of the phenomena conspiracy that was cooked up during Baba Buhari. Why is it that when the international oil companies were the main operators in our onshore, why was crude oil theft not so pronounced? Why was it not so focused on in Nigeria? So, which means their corporate governance and their relationship with the communities and their operating environment was by far more conducive. Why is it suddenly that the time they started migrating away, selling their assets, suddenly the story about crude oil theft became so phenomenal that even we had a former Senate president said that about 400,000 barrels was being stolen per day about 3 years ago, if you remember. So why that conspiracy, please, we should factor it with maybe 5–10% in our weighting when we are doing weighting analysis of what are the issues. Then the investment in our upstream exploration and exploitation is very poor. We don't have deep pockets. The international oil companies that have deep pockets from their home base, they are no longer interested. They have lost appetite in this part of the world, in our onshore asset. So that is two factors I have analyzed now, crude oil theft and investment. The other issue is that the local communities in Nigeria that are in the area where oil and gas are being produced, they have suddenly realized that over the years, resources that were their own endowment by advantage have been taken away and they have not gained much. So the consciousness for them to try to agitate more, since late Kensarowiwa triggered that agitation, the case has not died down. Even though he's dead, but it has not died down. So the community wants to gain from their God-given resources. So if you continue to manage it the way you are managing it like this, I can see that our onshore asset may go completely. We may never have a golden era anymore. Because until you have you can buy social license from the communities, host community, to have a stable environment for exploration and production, we may never see the golden era back again in Warri, in Port Harcourt, in Yenogwa, and all those communities. We may never see it again. So this is a very critical factor, social license.
Okay, Brother Dan, let me come from this angle. This is an angle that touches the everyday man in Nigeria. Fuel scarcity is almost a constant thing in Nigeria. As you and I are speaking, it is here. So why have we not gotten it right when it comes to constant supply of the product to Nigeria?
Okay. Look, my brother, all those issues we have discussed from the beginning of this conversation, they are all the accumulated deterministic reasons why there is no white product on our road. I will give you one product. We are emphasizing so much on petrol now. What of cooking gas? That is the one you call LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. What of kerosene? What of even the engine oil, the one you call lubricant oil? What of diesel? Okay, so all these they are all byproducts of crude oil.
Yeah.
You cannot have them adequately supplied to you in this country if you have not gotten the upstream and midstream right. If your refinery capacities are so incapacitated, because you have 4 refineries owned by government that are dilapidated, they are technically insolvent. And we told them not to attempt in this futility they are pursuing now. We told them not to attempt to rehabilitate it. We told them not to even, they should sell as they were. They refused. Liquidate them, they refused. Okay, now, so you will never have any outcome from those 4 refineries. If we get 10, 20% outcome, it means we are lucky. You and me, we live in this country, you will see what will happen. So now, if we are lucky that the private refinery of Dangote Refinery is able to get sufficient supply of crude oil, either locally or from Angola or from anywhere in the world, and that one works seamlessly, we may be lucky to have steady supply of white products. That is kerosene, PMS, all the products that we have mentioned,
A1.
including even petrochemical. Okay, Jet A1, yes, including even petrochemicals. So now, let's go back to one issue. The issue is this. The waste of our resources between 2007 and this time I'm talking on the 4 government-owned refineries is what is paining me at heart, because I was a witness to everything that's supposed to have happened rightly. But certain group of forces in this country said, no, it is the wrong lane that they must follow. And they are the one who plunged us to this country today. So this issue of repairing the refinery as they are working on it now, Port Harcourt Refinery, $1.5 billion. This refinery was to be fixed by private sector in 2007. They refused. When Technimont of Netherlands, of Italy, was asked to come and do the job, some of us, I was no longer in government, but from outside, we said no. Technimont did not build Port Harcourt Refinery. It was JGC, Japan Gas Corporation, that built Port Harcourt Refinery. The old refinery in Port Harcourt was built by Shell. And as at that time, it was just a mini refinery from where they were getting naphtha and some diesel to run all their production platforms across Nigeria. That refinery was not actually designed to produce enough PMS for the country, because as at that time, Shell BP was the largest importer of petroleum products into Nigeria at that time, and they controlled the petrol stations in Nigeria as at that time. In 1965, if you remember, when you were growing up, you will see Shell BP petrol stations that President Obasanjo decoupled them and turned them to National Oil and AP, African Petroleum. So the old refinery in Port Harcourt was actually not designed to even produce sufficient PMS for the domestic market. It is the bigger refinery, 150,000, that was meant to refine product for local market and possibly export, because the Okrika jetty there, the jetty there was good enough to take product to the Bonny River to the international market. But having said all this, they are wasting $1.5 billion there now and say they have done mechanical completion and this and that. Okay, but let's see when they finish it. Let's see where they will get the crude to feed in. Maybe, as I have said in one of my submissions, and I hope it has gotten to Mr. President, this country, if we are not careful, we are going to import crude oil for our refineries. If we are not careful, we are going to import gas to support the domestic economy of this country. Or we will go into total darkness. I saw them now saying they have generating capacity of 5,100 megawatts. Okay, let's see how they will transmit it. It's one thing to generate. How do you transmit it? Where is the robust transmission infrastructure to take the electricity to the discos that we now give it to homes? So I'm still laughing and watching, because we are here together to suffer together and to enjoy the prosperity of this country together, until the people in authority listen to the righteous voices that are dispassionate, and we all assemble the best team in this country to run our country. We will not see petrol on the road. This is how we will continue to queue. You and me, we will be buying guguru and ekpa by the roadside there and be eating and be jollophing.
Thank you, Brother Dan. Thank you, Brother Dan.
So that is it, my brother.
That's borderline doomsday prophecy, sir. That's borderline doomsday prophecy. I wanted to ask you quickly, because you are familiar with refineries. Is it the older refinery in Port Harcourt that they are fixing, or the younger one?
Yeah,
the old one.
Do you have that information?
I like that language. It is the older refinery they are fixing, because the older refinery is 60,000 tons, 60,000 barrels per day capacity. Is the one they are trying to fast track, because the bigger refinery, okay, maybe it may not require more complex work as the older one, because the older one was already technically insolvent. It has corroded. It was just meant for scrapping. Okay. It was meant to go to the scrap yard. But I think they dismantled the whole time. They are trying to retrofit it. We are waiting to see. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a corrosion expert. But I think I have reasonable knowledge to know what it takes for vessels and columns and valves to synchronize in the process engineering environment. It's not easy when you are running on temperatures that are very high, pumping steams and gas, and we are waiting. We are waiting.
So from what you are
govern in an environment that the plant is going to be run by civil servants, where their boss is to sign their impress in Abuja. So how can you run a limited liability company in Port Harcourt, and the instruction to pay 10,000 naira will come from the towers in Abuja? That is how we have run it since in the 70s. That's why they are dead.
So you are not hopeful at all. You are not optimistic in any way.
Your language is not.
No, please. My optimism is this. I said something. I'm not perpetually pessimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic. When our president decides to do what is right, I will jubilate. I will congratulate him. He has to.
Brother Dan, sorry, time.
We need a deep reform there. If you don't do deep reform there to allow each of these business units to stand on their own and take decisions as at when they need it, it cannot run. How do you run a refinery where the decision will be taken in Abuja and you, the MD,
Brother Dan, wait, let's end it here. We want to thank you very kindly for your time. You know, there will be another occasion for you to say, tell us more things. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, then. Yeah. Dan Kunle, if you want to know, is an energy advisor. So he knows what he's talking about. Gentlemen, I hear we must pack it all in today, but not before reminding you that there's a chance for you to see a repeat broadcast later tonight at 11 o'clock. Of course, on Sunday, we